No, well, we will move on to another epic journey now, to Antarctica. It's 100 years since Captain Scott's famous attempt to reach the South Pole. But less well known is the letter that he wrote in his final days.
Yes, it's created a legacy that the current generation of Scots continue to protect, as Miranda finds out.
Antarctica is one of the most hostile places on Earth, where temperatures can drop to 70 degrees below freezing. British hero Captain Robert Scott met his match here in 1912 when he made his fateful journey to the South Pole. Hit by some of the worst weather ever recorded on the continent and running out of supplies, he knew he wouldn't make it home. He wrote a poignant letter, a letter that had some extraordinary consequences.
It's clearly been written over several days, and it starts off to my widow. It says that he hasn't suffered any pain and that he's loved her. And then here it refers to their son, who was almost 3. And it says, make the boy interested in natural history if you can. It's better than games. That boy was Peter Scott, and interested in natural history turned out to be a bit of an understatement.
Because the late Sir Peter Scott went on to be one of the giants of conservation and the first to be knighted for it.
He founded the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust here at Slimbridge in Gloucestershire, and there are 9 centres like this around the country. He also came up with the Red List, which keeps track of endangered wildlife around the world. And he started the Worldwide Fund for Nature, which protects those threatened species and habitats. He even designed its famous panda logo.
Peter was just a toddler when the letter was written, so it was his mother, Kathleen, who sparked his passion for wildlife, as his daughter, Daffila, knows.
She certainly took the instruction in the letter, make the boy interested in natural history, very, very seriously. She obviously thought her husband was amazing, and what he'd done was amazing, and I think she felt that this was a good way to honour him. So she introduced my father to all sorts of people who would show him animals. She will have introduced him to nature in a big way.
Wild geese and swans were his first love. He described himself as being totally addicted to their magic. And then, in his mid-30s, he found the site that would enable his first groundbreaking conservation project.
He realised Slimbridge was a great place for people to come and see wild birds, but also somewhere he could breed threatened species for reintroduction back in the wild. He started with these, the rarest geese in the world. Come on.
These Hawaiian geese, or nenes, were on the brink of extinction in 1952, with just 30 left. But Peter Scott managed to get them to breed.
And thanks to the work that Scott did here, there are now over 800 in the wild in Hawaii and 1,000 in breeding programmes around the world.
With thousands of birds naturally overwintering at Slimbridge, he was also able to pioneer new research techniques. In the 1960s, Buick swans started arriving, and Peter noticed that each one had a unique pattern on its beak. So, with Daffila's help, he began to paint them in his record book.
He realised that the same individuals came back each day within one winter, and then the next winter the same individuals came back, and so he recognised them.
Did you have particular favourites that you looked out for every day?
I did have some favourites, yes. One was a family called Leo and Stella. I mean, my best time was on Christmas Day, I think it was 1968, when Leo and Stella hadn't come, and I went out in the morning, and when I came back, there were these swans circling around, and in they came, and there were Leo and Stella. Best Christmas present ever.
Peter Scott's vision was not only to preserve wildlife, but to motivate other people to preserve it too. Today, over 1 million people visit his 9 wetland centres every year, and WWF has nearly 5 million members. And it can all be traced back to one inspirational letter. At the end of it, Captain Scott refers again to the young son he'll never see grow up. He ought to have a fine career, he writes, and do something in the world. Sir Peter Scott certainly did.
I think it's amazing. I mean, what a legacy. You know, founding the Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, helping to found WWF, and his message for conservation, I think it's completely amazing. Yeah, wonderful. What a thing.
What a story, and that
Isn't it?
book beat was amazing.
I know.
Yeah.